Hi everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant, and I have another Cape Conversations for you. I'm so excited because we're going to talk about an issue that's here in town, our town of Sandwich, and it happens to be where I live, Town Neck. So come along, let's have another Cape Conversations. Hi everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant, and I want to welcome you to another Cape Conversations. We've got a great show today, and why we have a great show is because we've got three terrific men with me. You know how I like my men. We have three men with us that are going to talk about different issues, but in one particular area of Sandwich, and that would be Town Neck. Yoo-hoo! That's where I live. Let's solve the problems, guys. What do you think?
I'm into it.
All right. So we have Mike, David Sampson, who is one of our select people, and we have Carl, and they both live in Town Neck. You don't live in Town Neck. Where do you live? You live
Where
out,
do I live? It's a great question.
You live out somewhere.
I live on the other side of town.
Oh, you live on the other side of the
I know.
highway.
Forestdale.
Oh my gosh, Forestdale.
I know. If you went much farther than my house, you'd be in Mashpee.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's scary. Then you wouldn't be Selectman.
I wouldn't be.
You would be.
Some people might think that's an advantage.
I don't know. So we're here today to talk about a couple of issues. And Mike, I'll be glad to start with you. I know you have an issue with Treehouse. And I have to say, although I'm not a purveyor of going there a lot, because I'm not a beer drinker, I love the fact that we have a thriving business in there. And I love the fact that they're doing well. And yes, it irritates me, the parking sometimes, but I live on the other side of the hill in Town Neck, so I don't see so much of it. Because the Highland House, to me, is more of a pain in the neck because they park almost to my street, along the sides there. So we have that is an issue. But I know that's what your particular issue is. Is that not correct?
Yeah, our issue goes back to 2021 when Treehouse opened. And in order to facilitate their opening, they made certain agreements. They made an agreement, three-party agreement, them, the town, and the residents near them.
Yeah.
And that
now,
agreement,
may I ask, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but where do you live along that?
I live on Knott Avenue.
Okay, sure.
Maybe 6-7 houses up from Treehouse.
Okay.
And I am one of the least affected of the people who are affected.
Sure.
But I got involved trying to help my neighbors.
Sure.
So there's 18 to 20 of us.
Yeah.
And what we've been saying for a period of 4 years, I'm sorry, is why don't you honor the agreement you made?
Sure.
It was very close call back in 2021 as to whether they would open. Because they were in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And if they had lost that, and there was a lot of opposition, if they had lost that, they would never have opened.
Right.
So they made a deal, a prudent thing to do. They made a deal with us, with our little community.
Well, they're business people.
And that's fine. So we would appreciate it if they would just honor it. That's all. If they never made a deal and they opened, then we would have no complaint.
And the deal said they were to park elsewhere.
There would be no parking in the residential area.
So along the streets.
Along the streets, yes.
They could park in the parking lot next to them, the parking lot where behind them,
well,
and
they have 19 spaces of their own.
Right.
Approximately 10 of which they use for beer delivery.
Right.
So they in fact have 9 spaces.
Right. Are you including the First Beach parking area?
No, I'm talking about what they have.
What they have.
So they were allowed to open with an occupancy of about 315 with 9 spaces.
Right.
You can add the 50 spaces
Right.
in the town lot, which they have to pay for.
Yeah.
Their customers have to pay for.
Yeah.
And so they have approximately 60 spaces for over 300 people. Those people who don't get to park in the town lot or on their property logically come on our streets. That's why we got involved and tried to prohibit that, which we were successful at.
Yeah.
So they are supposed to have off-site parking lots.
Now
They've never gotten that.
Well, I guess, what is that van for that drives around with people in it that I see?
With a little help from the town, they have limited space. They were supposed to get their own parking. They're using
Oh, I see.
our parking.
I see.
It does take pressure off.
Yeah, I was just going to
But
say.
they only run that when they feel like it. For
Yeah.
example, and I was not around, I was away, but my neighbors have told me,
Yep,
last Saturday,
yep. It was busy.
yes, it was apparently a very nice day.
It was beautiful, and everybody was here from Connecticut and New York State.
And there was no shuttle.
Oh, that
They
I
stopped
don't know.
it. They stopped it
Yeah,
because it's an economic decision they make. But the agreement says they have to have a shuttle.
yeah.
So when you stop the shuttle that you've agreed to have, you're in
Right.
violation, in my opinion, of your agreement to us.
Mm-hmm.
And there was parking, according to my friends and neighbors,
Yeah.
all over the streets.
I didn't.
One of the most interesting things, which is not exactly our problem, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a safety issue. I was told
Mm-hmm.
that there's a sidewalk, as you may know, on Town Neck
Yeah,
Road,
there sure is.
adjacent to the town lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was told there were 23 cars parked
On that?
half on the sidewalk and half in the street.
Right. Two tires off.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, very dangerous.
Well, and probably not illegal, I wouldn't think.
I
But
think there's no parking signs there.
I
Aren't
don't
there
know.
no parking signs along there?
If you don't understand that you're not supposed to,
Well, I know that,
They've-
but just from an enforcement
to
perspective.
the best
Right,
of my
I
knowledge, there
don't
is
think there
not
are.
a sign.
I
there.
don't think there are.
But if there is, it wasn't working, and you shouldn't have to put up a sign there. Some of my neighbors complained to the town, as they should, and the
Yeah.
town came down and ticketed.
Oh, good.
Good to a point, in my opinion. They should have been towed.
Well, I know.
They're quite dangerous there.
Yeah, I ran a shopping center, Mashpee Commons, for almost 20 years. Trust me, I know all about towing people.
Okay.
Because we used to do it all the time.
Right.
I used to get in so much trouble, Carl. It was terrible.
Sure.
But
Well, if you let me give you an example. If the police stop a drunk driver
right,
and you give them a citation,
right, they don't.
and you
let
don't
them
say,
drive.
"Now, please drive
Right.
home,"
Yeah, right.
because why? It's dangerous.
Right, right,
So a dangerous condition should never be allowed to exist.
Okay, so so we have a selectman sitting here. I don't. In other words, for me, because I live on the other side of the hill, I don't have the same issues. Other than the fact, I guess my issue would be they take up all the parking spaces in the First Beach parking lot, which is the easiest for somebody who has a brand new knee to get to. And there's no parking spaces there. I bought my sticker like a good doobie, and that's okay. I mean, I understand, and I'm going to go back and reiterate. I have no problem with the business itself because we've had a lot of slugs in that space for a long time. And now we've got a thriving, wonderful business, and they do give back money to the community, and I like that. So, that said, David, what do you think about this?
So from the parking perspective,
Uh-huh.
and Mike reached out to me, I think it was in last December, just asking if I would help them to navigate this
Sure.
issue a bit, and that was prior to my reelection. And I'm very happy to help people, generally speaking, as long as it's something I mostly agree with.
Sure, well, of
That's
course.
meaningful for the community, right?
And it's legal in the
So,
town.
so we've been kind of chasing this issue a bit, and as Mike mentioned, there is an agreement that exists between some number of the neighbors and Treehouse, and the town is party
Mm-hmm.
to certain sections of that agreement. I don't want to get into the legalities of
No,
that.
I don't either. We're not
but,
lawyers.
But that agreement does exist.
Oh, you are a
right?
lawyer. I
Yeah.
didn't know that,
He
sir.
is a lawyer. That's why we have to be extra careful. So
There you go. I'll watch what I say.
yeah. But I think there's a real opportunity, and no disrespect to Treehouse, but there is an
No.
opportunity for them to do some more and deliver some additional consistency around
Sure.
helping with some of the housekeeping around these parking issues.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that they have worked to try to identify and implement some off-site parking solutions, and
Mm-hmm.
those have fallen apart for various reasons. But I will say that the future on that front is looking brighter, because I believe that through some assistance possibly from the town and some other private parties, that there will be an off-site parking location available for Treehouse for the next season. So that should help to alleviate some of the neighborhood
Well, what's-
parking issues.
Yeah.
With a dedicated parking lot for them.
Oh, sure.
That's
Be
in
good.
the vicinity, will require the shuttle probably, however that works out, but it should help to have a very clear, dedicated parking location for those Treehouse patrons who can't overtake the First Beach lot. The selectmen do have the ability to say, listen, First Beach lot is going to be for residents only, sticker only, period.
I wish they would do
and
that.
prevent, well, then you should tell them,
I
because
know.
they would appreciate that type of feedback, because we don't know, right? If that's something
There's
residents are
several little
looking
old
for.
ladies who would like that.
Come on down. We would love to see you. And, that's something that could be considered there.
Sure.
But, it's challenging from the perspective of the selectmen around parking restrictions, right?
Sure.
Because that's really the opportunity. It's either we're going to have paid parking and everybody can use it, or we're going to have resident parking and you have to be a resident, you have to have a sticker to use it. Your Airbnb guest doesn't get a resident sticker.
Right.
Your sister who lives in Ohio doesn't get a sticker
Right,
because
right, gotcha.
all those
Right,
things, right?
yep.
It becomes very black and white. And the same thing with parking enforcement on residential streets is the reality is that residential street parking in the town neck area is permitted. So it's difficult to permit to enforce or to flex the rules to say, well, if you're a Treehouse patron, it doesn't apply to you.
Right,
How do
no, I
we
get that. Sure.
segment that?
Sure.
It has to be pretty much black or white, so it gets difficult. But I do think that a solution is on the horizon,
That's
and it's a
good.
good solution,
Yeah.
and I have very good knowledge of it that I'm not going to tell you about.
Okay, so just so you know though, I Treehouse. Okay, that's one thing. We have I don't know how many. I mean, well, on my street alone, Dexter Avenue, which used to be a neighborhood, now has 6 Airbnbs.
Right.
I am all about commerce. I have no problem with them at all. But for instance, the house across the street, they had over 4th of July, they had 6 huge SUVs, 2 that barely got in the driveway, right, and 4 on the street. I don't care. I used to park on the street before we had a place to pull in. I don't mind that. I'm not upset about it. But what worries me is these people come and go. They don't care about Sandwich. So should we tax them a little bit more? Shall we do something? I don't know, and I don't have an answer. Obviously, I have no answer.
I don't think that taxing them more is something that makes sense for a whole bunch of reasons, right?
Yeah.
The number of residences that this would apply to, qualifying which residences those are, it would actually just turn into a bunch of negativity and hassle.
do it in other
for
towns.
not a lot of return. But they have a different scale than Sandwich does, and Sandwich does have the least number of
You said that, yeah.
of second
Yeah,
homes
you said
in the
that.
region. So all these other towns, especially as everybody's favorite discussion around tax rates and
Yes,
and
they
real
are.
estate taxes, right?
Yeah.
So Sandwich has the least amount of coastal frontage and the least number of second homes. So if you have a New Seabury as one of the assets to
Right.
your community,
That's
which has all sorts of coastal frontage and second homes,
Right.
you might think about this differently, right? Because it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
What we're talking
I
about.
understand. Yeah.
Now, I do hear you on the parking thing with the Airbnbs, and this does come up. But again, this is a piece where we'd have to say, if we're going to put in parking restrictions, it is going to apply to everyone,
Yeah.
not just the Airbnb houses,
Right,
right? Those folks that are operating these Airbnbs, and I don't know who owns them, if they're private owners, if they're corporate owned, private equity backed, I have no
yeah.
idea, right? But
In
are they
Town Neck, they're mostly private.
Are they putting rules in front of their guests that say, listen, you're allowed to have 2 or 4 vehicles
I
because
think
that's what
maybe
we have
that's what
parking
we
for?
need. Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're
Yeah.
doing, but that stuff also just becomes challenging.
Yeah. Well, the town
I
has
think
to
when
say,
you think about this stuff, and just from the perspective of myself or anybody from the town of the selectmen, like
Yeah.
when we think about what policy might look like, it's blanket,
I
right?
see, yeah.
We can't have an outlier or an exception because it
But I
is
just
impractical.
want to say to you that other communities in other places let their Airbnb owners know, right? They let them know that, okay, well, this is what your guests can do and can't do, which then they let their guests know.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm talking about
I'd be
more.
interested to see examples of that.
Okay, and I'll be glad to
and
get
how
them for
it's
you.
honestly how it has any teeth to it.
I don't know
if we're
does
sending them
anything
out
in life
a
have teeth?
sounds like a whole other show.
Yeah.
But we could send out like courtesy notices to them.
Mm-hmm.
The best opportunity for them to want to participate, in my opinion, is if my neighbor was running an Airbnb and overrunning parking all the time,
Oh, we've already
the
talked to
owner
him.
would be getting a call from me.
Yeah, we've already talked to him.
And that would be more meaningful than anything that came from the town.
Yeah, but also, we don't want to be we don't want to be the bad guys either all the
Right.
time.
So generally speaking, and this applies to a lot of rules with the town, bylaws, et cetera, right? A lot of these things are reactive. A lot of the time when the town responds, it's based on a complaint from somebody. So if you're
Right.
complaining through the town to protect your identity, you can certainly do
in-
that.
in
But
the-
people know.
Yeah, of course they know. In the middle of Town Neck, there's a little park, and everybody parks there too. Like on 4th of July, I don't know. They needed a parking guide, some guy in there, I think, because everybody was parked every which way. Now, where the cars came from, I don't know. They were out-of-state cars and Massachusetts cars. And again, I don't go to that park. It's not near me, but it would have, as a homeowner, it might have driven me a little bit crazy. That's all.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And maybe that's a no parking
Yeah, maybe
opportunity.
that's- yeah.
I mean, my prediction is that at some point, there's going to have to be a parking policy for Town Neck. Is
Yeah,
it that you can only
I
park
agree.
on one side of the road?
Yep.
Is it sticker-based? I don't know what it is, but I anticipate that at some point, there's going to have to be a change.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge is that the owners who use their homes themselves or reside there love the flexibility of not having to deal with that. And when that does come into force, whenever that happens, there's not going to be exceptions
No,
just
I
because
understand
you're
that.
a homeowner because
No.
of that whole kind of level playing field I was
Right.
talking about. But ultimately, that is where I think we end up.
Yeah, you might be right. You really might be right, for sure. I know that on like North Shore Boulevard, where we had a cottage for 20 years, after the fire department on the 4th of July couldn't get down the roadway, it came along that you couldn't park. You could park on one side of the road,
Right.
and you had to have 2 tires off, and they did tow, which was a godsend.
And I talked to,
godsend.
I just can't remember who it was. It might have been Mike Miller. I was trying to remember for sure. But when that decision was made, the town just made the decision and
Yeah.
they picked the side of the road and that
Yeah,
was it.
That was it.
Because I know if we say
Yeah.
that we're going to allow parking on one side of the road in Town Neck, that's going to be a whole new debate about which side of the road it is.
Not my
Well, it
side.
doesn't have to be if you
Right,
but
exactly.
the town just does it.
So
It is what it
so it's one of those things, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like,
And you're here because of people driving fast, and we don't have sidewalks in Town Neck.
Well, it's interesting. All the conversation that's taken place is exactly why we formed our committee. It's called the Town Neck Speed Limits for Safety Committee, and we just started actually on June 5th, so we just had our 3-month anniversary.
Nice.
And all these things are the things that are bothering this group in Town Neck.
Right.
And the speed limit really came out of my car. Shows me what the speed limit is in Town Neck.
Yeah.
Because there are no speed limit signs in Town Neck.
No, there's one as you enter, 30,
correct.
30
But
miles an hour.
that's one. It's faded. It's old.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got me started on this whole road to try to improve the safety in Town Neck. Now, the parking in the streets is an issue. It's crazy in Town Neck, okay? Between the people getting their lawns mowed, their siding done, the houses are being built in Town Neck are not what Town Neck originally had.
No.
Town Neck
I
was all
a cottage.
cottages, and it was
Right.
a summer community.
Right.
People came in the summer and they left in the winter. Well, now there's people that live full time, of which I am one of them. So we proposed to the Board of Selectmen that we wanted to try to establish a safety zone in the entire Town Neck footprint.
What does that mean?
Okay, a safety zone is the speed limits will be dropped down to 20 miles per hour. It requires special signage that announces that you're entering into a safety zone, that it's heavily populated, and at least it gives the people traveling throughout Town Neck some guidance and education on what the rules are in there.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
And it's also, the language in the law talks about the interaction of traffic with, I'm losing the name of the word. Vulnerable road users, okay?
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you look at Town Neck, take a look at Town Neck, take a look at Town Neck Road all the way down to Town
Yeah.
Neck Beach. Okay, land uses that are attracting vulnerable road users, which is
Right.
people that are walking, biking
Right.
to this place. Okay, so you got Pilot House, you got
We are
Seafood
so
Sands.
fortunate to have all
You-
those places.
You, absolutely, you got the canal, you
Right.
got Treehouse, you
Everything,
got
yeah, it's
First
wonderful.
Beach, you got Town Neck Beach, you got the
the
boardwalk,
boardwalk, which
you
is-
got Mill Creek.
Right. Number 2 on Forbes' list of places to see when you come to New England is our boardwalk.
So true.
So, and that went out, and this year you can't even get in the parking lot.
I
It's
know.
So many people.
I buy my pass, and I
I
think I
buy my
parked there
pass, too.
once because it's always it's always full.
I
But
know.
I mean, the Town Neck is a movement of people of senior citizens, families walking 6
Can
wide.
we teach them what side of the road they're supposed to walk on, though?
My street, I live on Wood Avenue.
Yeah.
It's 19 feet wide from grass to grass.
Yeah.
Now, 19 feet wide. You take some of these new SUVs going down the
Oh,
road.
please, they're almost that wide.
Right. So it
is crazy.
it's a very changing environment in Town Neck. And just to speak to the Airbnbs, there's 700 registered short-term rentals in the town of Sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
okay? There's 96 of them. This is as of 2024
In Town
in Town Neck,
And I bet you
okay?
there's more now.
I'm sure there's more. So what this means, in my viewpoint, and I'm sure we could talk about it, is that every time that thing that's sold for a week, which most of these units are, there's at least one car, if not 2, if not 3, if not 4, people coming from outside our environs coming in to enjoy Town Neck that
And
are
I
not
don't mind
familiar
that.
with. No, I'm not either.
I'm happy they're there.
But
I'm
they're not
happy they're
familiar
having
with what
biking
goes
there.
on in it, and there's no
Right.
education as to what goes on at Town Neck. It's 30 miles an hour, but you wouldn't know that.
No.
So that's what we're all about.
And 30 miles an hour is not slow.
No, not in
You're
that, not in that
driving
neighborhood.
in a neighborhood, right? So,
No.
so when I
Come
drive
out of
down
Dexter Avenue.
the
and-
road to my house,
there's
I
a car
generally drive like probably 20, 23 miles per hour. But someone's always on my bumper.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're wanting to go
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
And the road I drive down is a bit wider and longer, but people are generally distracted while they're driving, and they're generally driving fast. And then in addition to regular vehicles, we have all these electric bikes and
Yep.
scooters all over the
Oh,
place.
please
Golf
do
carts.
Which is
our
a
golf
whole
carts.
another problem, right? The registered golf carts are basically like cars, but then we have unregistered golf carts
Yes.
as well running around. So there's all of these different things happening that create a lot of challenges.
Yes.
think
We're a
one of the-
resort, we are a full-blown resort community now, really.
It's changing. It's
The golf
changing.
cart
changed.
trend is very large nationally, actually.
Oh, I know it is.
And I think it's
Have you been to the villages?
no, I haven't, to be honest with you.
crazy.
But I'm aware
That's
of the
crazy.
golf carts. I mean, I think they're practical for a lot of things for local transportation,
sure.
but they're also more subject to probably improper utilization at the same time,
Right.
because kids want to drive them and
you'll
all of
see
these other
kids
things,
driving
right?
them.
And I was a kid once. You
Why wouldn't
remember?
you? And I remember when you were a kid, and I remember when I was a kid. If I could have had a golf cart, I had a horse, but if I could have had a golf cart, I would have been in son of heaven,
Right.
zipping around those streets.
Driving down to the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, of
If
course.
I could add, I think one of the problems in Town Neck, and you may have both noticed it, is a changing demographic in the people who rent the B&Bs, Airbnbs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Years ago, I'd sit on my front deck and I would see the people coming down the street, because they would go right down to the beach.
Yeah.
And it was a man, a woman, and 2 kids.
Yeah.
And now it's 3 couples.
Yeah.
And that's because you mentioned tax. That didn't help, because that raised the cost.
Yeah.
And the cost has gotten to the point where it's beyond the means of the average family.
Oh, yeah.
So what they're doing is they're combining.
Sure.
And that's where you get the 3
All
or
the
4
cars.
SUVs in front of your
Sure.
house.
Sure.
And the way to handle that is not to tax them, because that'll just bring in more SUVs. The way to handle that is to limit the occupancy of the Airbnbs. So if you simply say, your Airbnb, you have 2 bedrooms, that's 4 people. Yours has 3, that's 6. That's not 12.
Right.
That's not
right,
22.
Right. Right.
And that way you would have some control over, 1, the number of vehicles parked all over the place, and 2, the speed. Because these people come, now the family that used to come here, you know, the man, wife, and 2 children, I think they were more respectful of the environment which they were in. This young couple groupings that come are not, or less so.
Well, there are people coming now specifically because Treehouse is there. I'm not kidding you.
No, I
They're
believe
there. They are coming because of that. They're also coming, and the people that rent places are saying, you know, you can walk to 5 restaurants, and if you think about it, you can. And you can walk into the village, and they're
Over the
all
boardwalk.
young and healthy, and we see the pile of them walking down the middle of the street, which drives me crazy. I was brought up on a farm, and we were taught when you walked on a farm road which had no sidewalks, you walked facing the traffic.
Correct.
Nobody on Cape Cod knows how to do that. So I think we're in a change period. We're in where we were this kind of fun little, you know, I mean, we used to visit here in the summer. That's why we moved here, you know, and that was 50 years ago when we first got married. I honeymooned here. So, and then came with our kids and on East Sandwich Beach. So I get why people want to come here, but I think the temperature has changed, or how, I mean, we have become a real resort community. I mean, we're not a Fort Lauderdale, but kinda in our own little tiny way, you know. It's not as quaint a Cape Cod as
I
it
think, you
used
know,
to be.
with Town Neck, the challenge there is that you have a high density of homes
Yes.
with narrow streets, right?
Yeah.
In every neighborhood in town, you can talk to anybody from any neighborhood in town, and they're going to tell you that they have speed issues in their
Oh,
neighborhood, in
sure.
every single neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So, and there are, you know, specific state guidelines around speed limits in neighborhoods, and there's also engineering methods around how speed limits are determined and things like that, right? So there are tools that exist, and the safety zone tool is something that Carl's group has brought forward, which is going to be brought to a future town meeting. And basically the question at town meeting is, will the town enable this legislation as a
Right.
tool? So if it's enabled, that would give the selectmen the right to
Do it.
utilize that.
Right.
But, you know, how do we deal with this on a larger scale basis? And enforcement comes down to part of the challenge, right, in every single neighborhood. And I'm sure you've seen those Facebook posts about, you know, did you see the green car that did the thing with the school bus?
Yes,
or whatever
yeah,
it might look like,
yeah.
right?
Listen,
but-
the police, we hear the sirens that are coming from, you know, out in Canterbury land. We hear the sirens coming from there and from wherever, you know, every weekend on a Saturday and on a Sunday, all day long. I'm sure you
Oh,
all
yeah.
hear them too. So
Yeah. Well, any ambulance that runs out of Station 1, you're going to hear.
yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like, oh, there's an ambulance. I haven't heard that in 4 days. It's, you know,
Well, those teams are very busy.
they are.
Our
It's
public
crazy.
safety is busier than ever. They have more calls than ever on both sides of the house.
Right.
You know, and it's mostly medical calls and
Sure.
police response calls. We deal with less fires
Sure.
than ever, but the ambulance service is nonstop.
Yeah. So this went by very quickly. So we've got an idea that we're going to be able to fix the problem with the parking for Treehouse coming soon. Is that correct? Yes.
I anticipate there will be a greatly improved parking solution in place in the spring.
And in the meantime, what are we doing? Nothing?
It's going to be winter.
Okay,
No,
that's all we can hope
I mean,
for.
in the short term, right? So the First Beach parking lot will be
Yeah.
less utilized by
Right,
beachgoers
right,
across the
right.
off season.
Yeah.
So we've survived with this for a few years. I think
Yeah.
everybody would like things to happen faster. We all know that
No,
they don't.
I get it.
And it's unfortunate, but I've spent some time, a little bit of time in this role, right? Previous to my current service.
Yes, that's right.
I did 6 years. I took a 3-year break. I'm back. But good outcomes do come with some patience and time.
Sure. And we're going to go before the town for a safety zone for the area of Town Neck,
Correct. That'll be at the next town meeting, which we're
whenever that is.
We're hoping and praying it's going to be this fall, not
Fall?
waiting until
I
next
hadn't
spring.
heard
To
we
be
were gonna
clear,
have one
the
in fall.
town meeting question will be to enable the legislation for the
Legislation,
town.
right.
Not specific to Town Neck, right? This
Right.
would say
Anywhere.
the
Anywhere.
town
Right.
is going to have the ability to implement this.
Yeah.
be
So
able
that's
to-
the question.
Yeah.
Which it should be. It should be now, to me.
You know, that's not the way the law works.
I understand. I
Got to
get
talk
it.
to the lawyers.
I get it.
I would like to say that David is a man of many ideas, and
Yeah.
most all of them are really good.
Most
So every once in a while, when he has a bad one, it stands out.
Oh, okay.
And he mentioned before that maybe a partial solution would be have parking on only one side of the street down
Yeah.
near the treehouse.
Yeah.
And I would say to that, do not punish the neighbors,
Right,
because treehouse doesn't keep its agreements.
right, right. Well, and you know what? They should be held to it, for
Thank
sure.
you.
For sure.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
obviously.
Yeah,
that's
and I think
true of
I think
anything.
alleviating the treehouse parking will make a big difference,
Yeah,
right?
it sure
Then you know the other when you solve a problem, then a problem either moves or a new problem becomes apparent.
something
No,
else.
it's true.
Well, it's called life.
and we've seen it, right? So once we get through this one,
Right. There'll be
then,
another one.
then where do we go from there?
Oh my God, we
and
have
we're just going to have
potholes.
to
Let's talk about
evaluate.
the
We do.
potholes.
Well, I think that between the Airbnbs and some
Yeah.
of these other things, because it's a very, very busy area down
Yeah, it
there,
is.
and
It's our
you think
our
about
resort.
5 years ago
Right.
of that area versus today. When you think about a
Can I tell you
treehouse
what it
and
was
the
like
grid,
40 years ago?
Yeah, no, I
It was nothing. I was to ask, you're going to buy a house in Town Neck. Well, I came from Ohio. Why do I want to live out
Hey,
in
I
South Sandwich?
went down to Olney Ave for
Yeah.
my piano lessons with Mrs. Allen for years.
Oh my God, so did my
for
kids.
$5.
That's right, $5.
And I went to McNeil's
That's
Bakery
it.
and I had
Yeah,
my
right
donut
there.
after school, and then I went for my piano lessons. So
We've been around, David.
Oh, McNeil's.
You're younger,
That was a
but-
good. That was
Huh?
a good bakery.
I know it was excellent.
I remember that.
Anyway, I want to thank you all. And you know what? We've just scratched the surface, and we know that,
lot
right?
going on.
But we're bringing it to light, and that's what's important.
And one thing I'd say, right, so regardless of where you live in town and what issue you're facing,
Right.
If you're not bringing that issue to the attention of
Don't
somebody
complain.
official, right?
Right.
So I would highly encourage folks to use the 311 app, which is a great way to report
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of things. And
Yep.
if you don't have the app or you don't want it on your phone, use the website.
Yeah.
You can email the select board at sandwichmass.org. If they hear from you, and if they hear from you and your neighbors and they understand that there's an issue going on, it really raises that issue to the surface.
Sure.
The online attention to things is great with some of the social media,
Right.
but it's not a very
It's
good
just
official
complaining.
channel to report anything.
Right. It just complains.
So if you are facing an issue,
Yeah.
my colleagues are very, very willing to act and help people.
That's great.
But they need the right information to do
Sure.
it.
Sure.
And they don't know what they don't know
Sure.
sometimes.
Well, thank you, David, for being here, and thank you as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thanks for having us.
Mike and Carl, terrific guys, live in Town Neck, and David Sampson, our selectman, were wonderful talking about the issues in Town Neck, the speed limit, too fast, and also about where people are parking when we have all those lovely, lovely restaurants, and we love them. We all love the restaurants in Town Neck. So I think that there's going to be some more talk about this, and we'll be able to solve the problems. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time on another Cape Conversations.